Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an ancient engineering marvel, a fortress built on an impossible scale by a civilization that supposedly didn't even have the right tools for the job. So, how did they do it? Let's get into it. Okay, let's start right at the heart of the mystery, these incredible walls of Sacsayhuamán in Peru. We're high up in the Andes, over 3,700 meters, and you see these massive, crazy-shaped stones all fitted together with a precision that just seems to defy logic. And when I say massive, I mean it. Some of the largest blocks here weigh nearly 200 tons. To give you some perspective, that's heavier than a fully grown blue whale. Yeah, the largest animal on the entire planet. Now just try to imagine moving that. And this, right here, is the central puzzle. The question that has had historians and engineers scratching their heads for centuries. The Incas didn't have large animals for hauling, they didn't use the wheel for transport, and they didn't have iron tools to carve with. So, how on earth did they build this?
It wasn't just about the sheer size of the stones. It was the unbelievable precision. When the Spanish conquistadors showed up in the 1500s, they were just floored. One of their chroniclers, Pedro Pizarro, wrote that you literally couldn't fit a pin between the joints. That's a level of stonework that seemed completely alien to them.
So here's a crucial point. To even begin to understand the how, we first have to understand the why. Because Sacsayhuamán wasn't just some fort, its purpose was way bigger, way more symbolic, and it was woven right into the design of the entire Inca capital. Okay, check this out. According to Inca oral tradition, the city of Cusco wasn't just a random collection of buildings. It was a living symbol. The whole city was designed in the shape of a puma, an animal that for them represented immense power and was deeply sacred. The story goes that the great Inca ruler Pachacuti came up with this idea of the Puma city. But it was his son, Tupac Inca, who realized something was missing. The puma's body was there, its tail was formed by two rivers, but, as he apparently said, the head was wanting. The city needed its crown. And that is the true purpose of Sacsayhuamán. It was built up on a high plateau to be that missing piece, the sacred head of the puma. It was a monumental statement of imperial power and spiritual authority all rolled into one. So how did they pull it off? Well, the answer isn't some fringe theory. It's a truly epic story of human effort, incredible organization, and sheer manpower. Yeah, building the head for a giant stone puma isn't exactly a weekend project. This was a massive state-run construction that went on for decades across the reigns of 3 different Inca emperors. And luckily for us, eyewitness accounts from the Spanish give us some incredible insight into just how big this operation was. The chronicler Cisa de Leon wrote that the Incan Empire drafted a workforce of 20,000 men to build the citadel. I mean, just think about that. That's a mobilization of human labor on a scale you rarely see in history. And this wasn't just a giant mob of people. It was a highly organized system. Cisa de Leon breaks it down for us. You had 4,000 men whose only job was to quarry the stones. You had 6,000 more just to transport them using huge ropes. And then thousands more to do the actual building. They even worked in rotations. This wasn't just construction, it was a masterpiece of logistics and an absolute display of state power. But as is the case with so many of these incredible ancient places, the grandeur of Sacsayhuamán wasn't meant to last. Its story took a very dramatic and, well, a destructive turn when the Spanish arrived. After they conquered the Inca Empire, the Spanish looked at this masterpiece, and they didn't see a wonder of the world. Nope. They saw a convenient, pre-cut source of building material. The sacred head of the puma was about to become a quarry. The writer Garcilaso de la Vega, who actually had both Spanish and Inca heritage, wrote about how heartbreaking this was. The complex was just systematically dismantled, its perfectly cut stones hauled down the hill to build the cathedrals, the government buildings, and the homes of the new colonial city of Cusco. In that right there, that explains what we see today. The reason the remaining walls are made of such colossally huge stones is actually pretty simple. They were the only ones the Spanish couldn't move. All the smaller stones, which made up entire towers and buildings on top of these foundations, are now part of the city of Cusco below. So this brings us full circle, back to that original question. How did they actually fit these massive stones together with such mind-boggling precision? Well, modern researchers have some pretty clever theories. Architect Vince Lee, for example, suggests a really meticulous four-step process. First, they'd carve the stone into its complex shape near the quarry. Then, they'd tow it up a huge earthen ramp. After that, it would be positioned on a stack of logs right over its final spot. And finally, they would just carefully remove the logs one by one, lowering the massive block slowly and perfectly into place. Now, this theory sounds totally plausible, right? And people have tried to replicate it. But here's the catch. Nobody has been able to fully replicate the scale and the precision of the Inca stonework. So the exact methods are still a hot topic for debate, which kind of keeps the mystery of Sacsayhuamán alive.
And you know what? That mystery doesn't stop Sacsayhuamán from being this vibrant living site today. It pulls in people from all over the world who just come to stand in awe of its scale and wonder about how it was all done. It's so much more than an old ruin. It's a protected UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's home to the incredible annual Inti Raymi, the Inca Festival of the Sun. And it's also just a beautiful park for the people of Cusco. It's a direct living link to their amazing past. In the end, the story of Sacsayhuamán is this powerful reminder that human ingenuity and just sheer willpower can make the seemingly impossible possible. It's a testament to a lost empire, and it leaves us with one last, tantalizing question. What other secrets do these ancient stones still hold?